I want to welcome you to tonight's City Council meeting for the City of Columbia Heights for Monday, September 28th, 2020. Can I have a roll call, please, Nicole?
Councilmember Buesgens.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Happy to be here.
Councilmember Mergen.
Here.
Councilmember Mitch.
Here.
And Mayor Schmitt.
Here, thank you. If you are able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, I'll read our mission statement. Our mission is to provide the highest quality public services. Services will be provided in a fair, respectful, and professional manner that effectively address changing citizen and community needs in a fiscally responsible manner. The next item is the approval of the agenda. We do have one change to our agenda. Item 7B. Under public hearings the violations have been corrected, so we are removing that item. If there's any other corrections or additions, otherwise can I have a motion to approve the agenda as corrected?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item is we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. This is something that is requested every year from Alexandra House, and let me read it. Whereas the community problem of domestic violence has become a critical public health and welfare concern in Anoka County, and whereas domestic violence is a crime, the commission of which will not be tolerated in Anoka County, and perpetrators of said crime are subject to prosecution and conviction in accordance with the law. And whereas over thousands of men, women, and children have and will continue to assistance from Alexandra House Incorporated, a domestic violence service provider. And whereas domestic violence will be eliminated through community partnerships of concerned individuals and organizations working together to prevent abuse while at the same time affecting social and legal change. And whereas October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and whereas during National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Anoka County organizations will inform area residents about domestic violence, its prevalence, consequences, and what we, as a concerned community, can do to eliminate its existence. Now therefore be it resolved and known to all, I, Donna Schmitt, Mayor of the City of Columbia Heights, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Columbia Heights. I want to thank Alexandra House for bringing this to our attention. Reminder, domestic violence is one of the highest calls to our police. It is very prevalent. Be watchful of your neighbors, be concerned. It's only by that this can be stopped. And we have Amanda here from Alexandra House. She'll have some more tips, I'm sure.
Mayor Schmitt and council members, on behalf of Alexandra House, I would like to extend our gratitude for this formal recognition of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and for your ongoing support of our work. We really appreciate the longstanding partnership we have had with the City of Columbia Heights in addressing domestic and sexual violence, and we are very grateful for your leadership on this issue. The number of individuals seeking safety and support because of domestic, sexual, and relationship violence, as well as abuse in later life, continues to increase. In 2019, Alexandra House provided direct services to 2,522 individuals. 170 of these individuals were Columbia Heights residents, comprising 7% of all those served by Alexandra House. Of those 2,522 individuals, 1,789 were from Anoka County. Columbia Heights residents represented 10% of all those served from Anoka County. The two services that Columbia Heights residents used the most were our legal advocacy and our youth services, which means that Columbia Heights residents came in and spoke and got assistance for any kind of legal matters. And then high schoolers who were spoken to in maybe a health class came forward afterwards and got some one-on-one or group support from an Alexandra House advocate. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Alexandra House Board of Directors and staff collectively decided to cancel our Hope Fest event, which has been our lead into Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We recognized when we canceled this that it would be a huge loss of promoting awareness of domestic violence. And that's why we decided to create a few more initiatives for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So throughout the month of October, you can help Alexandra House to raise awareness about domestic violence and join in our efforts to end violence through a number of ways. One of them being our yard sign campaign, which we are challenging our Anoka County community to become involved and more educated about domestic violence. Our Purple Lights campaign. This is a county-wide campaign which invites area residents, businesses, and organizations to shine a purple light bulb on their front porch, front window, or other public display the entire month of October. This way we can remember the victims and honor the survivors of domestic violence. We also have Aware Purple on Purple Thursday, which is October 22nd. And something that we've done in years past and are continuing is our Ask Me Why I Wear Purple buttons, which you will all be supplied with. And we are hoping that you'll be able to wear those and share with others why you wear purple and initiate that conversation. Again, thank you so much for this partnership and proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And please know that you can always find more information on our resources, on our services, how to get in contact with an advocate at any time on our website.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Next item is our consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted as part of the consent agenda by one motion. Items removed from consent agenda approval will be taken up as the next order of business. And our City Manager, Kelly Bourgeois, is here.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Council. Item A is approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting of September 14th. Item B is acceptance of the EDA minutes of September 8th and the EDA minutes of September 14th. Item C is adoption of Resolution 2020-72, and that resolution establishes the amount of city share and special assessments on the projects as levied. Item D is a capital equipment replacement purchase of Unit 456, that's the Recreation Department passenger van. Item E is consideration of the rental housing applications in your packet. Item F is approval of the business license applications in your packet. And item G is a review of the bills totaling $1,835,764.54.
Thank you. If there are no questions concerning these, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item is public hearing. 7A, adopt resolution 2020-73 for abatement. And who's speaking regarding this? Kim?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Following the September work session where this was presented to the council, We do have some new information. We were able to make contact with the property owner here and really reviewed the necessity for getting both the safety issue and the erosion potential issue addressed with him. And after that conversation with him, he has made contact with an engineer because he does want to put in a retaining wall. So he's made contact both with the building official and engineer to get plans drawn up to go ahead with a retaining wall at this site. In light of that, we'd like to continue to work with him to remediate this issue, to put a retaining wall in. That was one of our suggestions for how we could remediate this, although it's the most expensive. So one of the ideas that we had was just to table this until a future council meeting, either 2 or 4 weeks away, and we'll just provide really an update for where he's at with getting plans submitted and getting going with the retaining wall out here. Otherwise, the discussion at the work session was to go ahead and basically regrade this property, which would really bring it out to just about where the existing grade had been. For here, there appears to be enough material on site to accomplish that. Yeah.
Councilmember Buesgens?
Are we giving him a timeline as far as what would be an appropriate timeline to get this done?
We would. And what we are looking for is to get plans submitted within a week and to get those reviewed within a week. And really by the time the second council meeting, which I believe is the 26th of October, is that he would have activity on the site getting going.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Mershon, did you have a comment?
That if we give him until the second council meeting, then he should be getting everything put together, because I know the weather's gonna change quick, and we wanna get it done before the winter time hits, so. You feel comfortable with that, Cap? You know,
I think we need to be, this is really the first, I actually talked to him today. So this is the first contact I've had with him. So he does need time to prepare retaining wall plans. We need a short time frame just to review them and then to order get material. So my suggestion would be to, if he gets going, if the material's on site, and he gets going with the construction of the retaining wall, once you get your base course down, you know, you can actually do that in freezing conditions. But he does need to establish the base course of the retaining wall prior to freezing conditions.
Okay, and excuse me. If he starts it and he can finish it once it gets cold, then are we gonna have a timeline? Because if it gets cold and all of a sudden they got the baseline done and then he puts it off again, do we have a timeline for that once the actual work?
Yeah, in Mayor members of the council, our recommendation, if it does freeze up, would be to at least establish a 4-foot high retaining wall. And then at least it's half the wall height. In addition to that, it would protect, especially the side slopes, from erosion.
Councilman Levinsky?
If it wasn't done by the 26th of that meeting, or no work had been started, would we still have time to do the regrading if we so chose at that time too?
So we do one of two things. We either have to go ahead and get the contractor on board to get the regrading done, or we have to get in there with erosion control to last the winter months, and then get the regrading done first thing in the spring.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilman Williams, do you have any comments? Okay. I do have concerns about it not getting taken care of. So I'm glad you're keeping aware of it. Should we be postponing or tabling this item? Table? Okay. Can I have somebody make a motion to table the item till?
I believe it was October 26th is the date.
Can we get the exact date?
I'm sorry.
Wait, yeah, October 26th.
Yep.
Move to table resolution 2020-73 for abatement to October 26th at the city council meeting at 7 o'clock.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Mershon. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
you. And item 7B has been removed. Moving on to item 8, items for consideration. is approved purchase and redevelopment contract between the EDA City and BPOZ LLC for the 40th and Central Avenue redevelopment site. This was part of the EDA meeting previously at 6:30, so you're on again.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you. So the approval of the redevelopment contract for our redevelopment site at 40th and Central was actually addressed by the EDA last week. So it's the exact same contract that was reviewed by the EDA, but because the city is party to that contract in two principal ways, as a landowner of 3 of the parcels within the redevelopment site, and then also the transfer agreement component of the city hall, it's all interwoven. The city needs to also formally approve that same contract under the exact same terms that were reviewed by the EDA last week, and that is what we're asking you to do. So just a formality resolution that looks identical to the EDA's resolution approving the redevelopment contract.
Anybody have any comments or questions regarding this? Pretty straightforward. I know it's been exciting watching the demolition, so we are extremely pleased that things are moving forward. Can I get then if there's no comments or questions, then can I get a motion to waive the reading, please?
Move to close the public hearing, approve, no, I'm sorry, I'm down, I'm up to
8A.
Yes, thank you. Move to waive the reading of resolution 2020-75, there being ample copies available in the public. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Nowinski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then I move to approve.
Move to approve resolution 2020-75, a resolution approving purchase and redevelopment contract between the Columbia Heights Economic Development Authority, the City of Columbia Heights, and BPOZ Columbia Heights LLC.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Nowinski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to item B under this, approve lender subordinations for a redevelopment contract with BPOZ LLC.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this is a repeat of what the EDA just went through, identical resolution, same terms, again relating to the fact that it's an EDA and city joint contract, subordination for the primary lender, and then the assignment of the TIF note and consent to that for the secondary lender on the project. So same terms, same agreements, just the city version of those contracts.
Just for clarification, could you tell us what BPOZ?
Right, okay, so
Just for
yeah, BPOZ is the developer. It's the LLC that was created specifically for this project. The acronym actually stands for Bridge Partners Opportunity Zone. So that's the primary equity partner that has partnered with Lattice, and just the name that they've selected.
All right. Are there any comments or questions regarding this? And could I get a motion to waive the reading, please?
Move to waive the reading of resolution 2020-76, there being ample copies available to the public.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nowinski, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then the move to adopt, please.
Move to adopt resolution 2020-76, a resolution approving redevelopment contract subordinations on behalf of BPOZ LLC's primary lenders.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nowinski, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And the next one in this is resolution 2020-77, adopting a proposed budget for the year 2021, setting the proposed city levy, approving the HRA levy, approving a tax rate increase, and establishing a budget hearing date for property taxes payable in 2021. And assuming, Joe, you're in charge of this one.
Mayor, members of the council, this is the point in each year that you adopt initial preliminary budget and tax levy for consideration. Then after review of the next couple of months in December, you meet and vote on the final version. There's two changes that I would draw to your attention from since we were here at the work session in the first Monday this month. One change is that at that time, the city was tentatively considering $100,000 of the tax levy to be committed for park maintenance purposes, and at that time was an option. Well, in this resolution as it's drafted, it's included in the draft. So approving the resolution as drafted would include that. The other change that has happened is that we now have the information on the fiscal disparities subsidy, which pays anywhere from 25 to 30% of the total taxes in the city. And for 2020, unfortunately, that subsidy is being cut by $138,000, which is a 4% decrease from the $3 million approximately, which it was for this year. So it's down to $3.2 million. And so that would mean that the local taxpayers for 2021 will be paying a higher percentage of the total taxes collected by the city, since the outside subsidy is being reduced. The only real hope we can offer with that is that subsidy does vary from year to year. By having it reduced for 2021, the city will be have a more favorable position when this formula is recalculated for 2022. That's no guarantee that the subsidy will recover that $138,000, but over time, right now it would be it's only about 24% of the taxes for 2021, and 24% is really about the lowest share it's been in a very long time. So I expect it would come up somewhat over time on that. Other than those two items, the proposed, or the levy as drafted in your agenda packet is the same as was put out on the city website with the city manager's budget book. And if you have any questions beyond that, I'm happy to attempt to field them.
Some people might not be aware of the parks levy that was proposed. I know Councilman Nowinski, I think, was the one that suggested it originally. If maybe we could have a little discussion on
Sure, I'll
that.
speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
The expenditure side of that item would be $100,000 a year would be made available for significant park maintenance or capital improvements to parks. The revenue side of that, as it turns out, we need to give a little background on tax increment financing. So periodically when the city starts new development, a developer comes in, proposes to make new development, the city uses a financing mechanism in state law called tax increment financing, or TIF. And for a period of time, that new development is excluded from the regular tax levy, and the new taxes generated on the TIF district are used in the project. But over time, after the project matures, the district expires, and that property now has to become subject to the general tax levy, just like all the other property. So it makes the pie bigger. So any given levy that you're assessing is spread over a larger number of taxpayers, a larger tax base, once those TIF districts expire. So that just happens to be, that's what's happening at the end of this year, 2020. There are two tax districts, TIF districts expiring, and the new property value that'll be subject to the general tax levy beginning in January generates approximately $100,000 in additional taxes off that tax base. So I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think that spurred the effort to have proposed the idea of using that $100,000 dedicated for parks, because it's essentially that portion of it doesn't create a new tax burden on existing taxpayers, is the best way I can say it. A little convoluted there, but I think I covered it.
Is Kevin still here yet? Is he here? Kevin, could you come up and tell us a little bit of where you get money for parks right now?
Sure.
And why we need this?
Mayor, members of the council. Right now, the way that the city gets money for park improvement is a couple of ways. One of the primary ones is through park dedication. So when new residential development comes in, or redevelopment really, a certain portion of the work that they do valuation, they'll pay in park dedication fees. So recent ones were the Houston Park Townhomes, the Grand Central Flats, Grand Central Lofts, they all pay park dedication. And that money is dedicated, so it can't be used for other purposes. It has to be used for park-related improvement and park-related uses. And that's defined in state law. And then the other is through revenue that the city would otherwise allocate. So that can be through just annual budgeting, if so much is allocated either into the park development fund through annual budgeting or for a specific project. So like a specific project or splash pad, there was money that was allocated for that by the city council. So those are really the two primary sources that we have for when we do park improvements. And just to give you an idea of what park improvements, they're expensive. Typically when we do park improvements, they'll average in that $500,000 to $550,000 per park. Splash pad was about $550,000. The most recent park that we redid, which was Keys Park, that was up in that range, was about $525,000. So when we do a master plan, we redevelop the park. That's about what the investment that the city is making into our park system. And I think out of 15 parks, we've completed redevelopment of 7 of them. And I'm including Houston, even though that's just a partial redevelopment portion. So I think after right now, the Park and Rec Commission is working on Wargo. And I think after Wargo's done, our available funding in our park development fund will be either at zero or minimal.
Okay, my understanding the Wargo has a fund that they can.
So Wargo has, Mayor, members of the council, Wargo does have a, when you say a fund, it had through a family estate, the name sake, they donate to the city for the use of the redevelopment of that park, but it won't pay for the entire park redevelopment. So the estimate on that park is about $325,000, and there was $150,000 from the Wargo family.
Councilmember Buesgens?
Having been a liaison to the Park and Rec, I was there when you did the master plan and when the commission asked for how much it would cost to do the parks that are needed, and you had given them a figure. Could you share that with the public, what the total was? I remember. Go ahead.
Yep. So Mayor, members of the council, one of the activities that the Park and Rec Commission recently did, beginning in 2018, and it lasted for an entire year, was really to update our park CIP. So we went through, we did not take that through a public process, but we just did that internally to give us an idea of what it would take to complete the redevelopment and what that investment would be in our park system. So we looked at all of the remaining parks and then other improvements that were not done when we updated our parks recently. There were a few trails and a few other shelters that weren't done. And the 2019 dollar was 6.9 million is what it would take. That includes Houston, which is the city's largest park, and that was the biggest single investment into the parks. And then each one of the parks, we went through each item, and based on what we've done in other parks, developed that cost estimate.
You've also been able to cut down some of our costs by getting grants and partnerships with other businesses and et cetera.
Yeah, and Mayor, members of the council, we continue to explore those possibilities in any type of development that the council would authorize.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Right. Thank you. So we have 3 scenarios. Joe, can you come back, please? We need you. you had gave us three scenarios. One hypothetical, which doesn't sound like it's gonna be possible because it was not actual. So actually, scenario 2 and 3 are the ones that are remaining for,
Yes, it's for the benefit of the audience, what the mayor's referring to is in their council packet. There is some supporting information, and the scenario 1 or the hypothetical scenario, you're correct, that's not an actual possible scenario. It was just to illustrate if in fact the fiscal disparities had increased proportionate to the gross levy, that using that scenario, it's clear to see that the proposal for a parks levy is equal to the proposed new value provided by the TIF district. And so that in that sense, the expiration of the TIF district is paying for that parks levy, just to make that scenario clear. That's the point of number 1. But because the fiscal disparities subsidy is not increasing, it's in fact decreasing, you're right, it's either the scenario 2 or 3. Scenario 2 is the scenario as drafted in the resolution that you have before you. And scenario 3 would be would require changing that resolution to remove the parks levy that's been discussed.
any comments or questions? Councilmember Buesgens?
I like the parks idea. I think it's an underfunded asset of the city, and if we can get a baseline in there to at least start a fund for some of these projects, we don't have to keep coming for the big millions, or if we have new ideas, but it's not being earmarked for one particular project, but we can have discussion on what it can be used for in coming years as well. So I do like the parks funding in there.
I second that. I like it too, because I mean, just with the total amount that we need to have, the work that needs to be done in the parks, and not having having it in the general fund at all is, I don't like that. And the fact that, you know, we have this development coming out where we can get park dedication fees and 140 is essential, but it could be, we don't know when the next real development will come in where we get additional funds for upgrading of parks. And our people, I mean, loving the parks comes up a lot with our residents, and I think they'll support this, this monies that can go there to help that, so.
I think it's a good idea too.
Thank you, Councilman Buesgens. Councilman Williams, did you want to make any comments or?
No.
Okay, thank you. I think it's actually smart to start setting money aside. It's not gonna cover a lot for what Kevin was talking about, but it is a baseline, it is something to get started. And we need to think ahead, start planning, because equipment doesn't stay brand new. It breaks down. It gets used a lot. A lot of our playground equipment gets used, and we need to keep it up. And if we have money set aside for that, it can be taken care of, hopefully sooner than later. So I think scenario 2 makes the most sense. As a further information about levy, this is the pre-approval. This is not the final levy. So, and when they're at this stage, we are making a limit as to how high that levy can be. There will be more discussions at work sessions and meetings between now and December. And December, we will, if there are any adjustments to be made, it cannot be raised, but it can be lowered. So that is something we, as a council, we need to consider, look at. I know staff has been looking at it. Our city manager has been looking at it. If there are any suggestions, make sure you read through those packets that we get and take the time to see if there's anything that you think could be adjusted or if it will be at this rate. We need to have a motion if there are no more comments regarding this.
Move to waive the reading of resolution 2020-77, there being ample copies available to the public.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Nowinski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then a move to adopt, please.
Move to adopt resolution 2020-77, being a resolution adopting a proposed budget for the year 2020, setting the proposed city levy, approving the HRA levy, approving a tax rate increase, and establishing a budget hearing date for property taxes payable in 2021 of December 14, 2020 at approximately 7 p.m. in the city council chambers.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Nowinski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to item D, 4025 Van Buren Municipal Ramp Maintenance Snow and Ice Removal Contract. Mitch, thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council. At the end of 2019, the ramp near Fairview at 4025 Van Buren's contract came up. And through negotiations, the city has taken responsibility for the maintenance of that ramp. Through the summer and the spring this year, we have used placeholders, bidding out to contractors to clean the ramp, very sparsely utilizing public works to mow and maintain some of the weed issues that we've had with the ramp. But throughout this year, community development has realized that is essential for the ramp to be handled by an actual property maintenance contractor. With that being said, recently community development staff reached out to contractors Fairview had used in the past and other contractors that we could find information for public bidding on this. Only one contractor got back to us, and that is High Profile Grounds Maintenance. High Profile Grounds Maintenance had worked with Fairview in the past and actually currently services the property right next to the ramp. They had actually serviced the ramp in the past as well. So they are completely qualified to handle all of our needs and any issues that could come up, they have already dealt with in dealing with the ramp. The current contract in front of you has a per month cost of about $410 for the summer months. And then of course, with the snowfall and the ice removal and everything like that during the winter, they have established rates for per time snow plowing or depending on how much snow we get and everything like that. At the very end of that contract is also the various levels of services we can get for de-icing to remove the liability of the city and to make the parking ramp as safe as possible. We would be going with the highest level of service that makes sure that anybody utilizing the ramp doesn't have to worry about slips, trips, or falls during the winter. With regards to the contractor, I did personally meet with the contractor on site to walk through the ramp, ensuring that they completely understand the expectations of the city, and then also ensuring that they have the ability to take care of the ramp at the level that we expect. Other than that, I can stand for questions if you have.
My one question is, I don't see page numbers, but it's towards the end. It's talking about terms and conditions under 3B, automatic renewal. It says you need to have at least 60 days prior to the start of the renewal term you have to have it in writing as to this person's intent to cancel. So whose responsibility is that to keep track of when they need to cancel or continue the contract?
Yep. That will be community development. This contract is set to expire in May of 2022. Depending on what direction the ramp we want to go, or if we're satisfied with the services, community development will be tracking this along with other contracts related to the parking ramp, the cameras, the security systems in the parking ramp, and then the elevator as well. We'll be tracking the contracts to cut off the renewal for that going forward, or bring the appropriate resolution to the city council to continue this into the next period.
So in January, when we do renew a lot of contracts, that would be probably the time you're looking at it?
Perfect for us to bring that.
All right. Anybody else have any comments or questions regarding this? I thought it was interesting that Public Works wasn't doing this, but since this is the company that has been doing it, makes sense that they continue. Can I get a motion to waive the reading, please?
Move to waive the reading of resolution 2020-78, there being ample copies available to the public.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Levinsky, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And move to adopt.
Move to adopt resolution 2020-78, a resolution authorizing the execution of the grounds maintenance, snow removal, and ice management contract between High Profile Grounds Maintenance Incorporated and the City of Columbia Heights.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Levinsky, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item is City Council and Administrative Reports. Report of the City Council. Councilmember Levinsky, did you want to start?
Not much to reports with city stuff going on, but I would like to thank everybody for all the support and outreach that my mother passed away last week, so our family appreciates the support and thank you for it.
Councilmember Mergen?
I have nothing.
Councilmember Williams?
Yeah, I missed it last month. I shouldn't have. Gary Peterson, our old mayor, and a very, very prominent mayor. He did a lot of things for our city. He had a stroke, and he was in the hospital with Maine Brainerd, and I knew it too the last time we were meeting, and I missed it. I'm sorry about that. But I talked to him yesterday, and he's doing fine. He's back working, and his wife Jackie, they've sold her a home here now in Columbia Heights, so they moved the Pequot Lakes. That's where he has property that's ranch up there, and he's doing well. His wife's doing well, but she has some mental issues, but she's doing well there. She wants to come back home, but she doesn't have a home anymore here.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Buesgens?
I have a few things. One, I'm continuing to volunteer at the Blooming Sunshine Garden in Lomiaki. It's ending now. We're getting closer to just collecting seeds and tearing down the garden. I was online attending the Metro Council Housing and Economic Developer. They had speakers from Roseville and Edina talk about their recent redevelopment projects. And Roseville is in the process of changing their zoning in their core business district, which includes the mall, Rosedale Mall. And they have a very interesting setup. They showed us the layout of the new, they're gonna insert housing into their core district, and they have a really interesting plan. Edina they talked about how they had completed 31 redevelopment projects in the last 10 years. They've got a lot of things they're going with South. I don't know if anyone's been down there, but a lot of housing that's been added to their parking lots. And they also had a really interesting group that was focusing on architecture that is human scale. When Edina was first planned, it was more car oriented. So they want to change that perspective. I also, on that same day, attended online the Minnesota Climate Adaptation Seminar. They spoke about how Minnesota farmers are transitioning. There's quite a few now transitioning to sustainable farming practices. And I delivered leftover produce from Sept to some resident chicken keepers. Instead of them throwing it in their compost, we're letting their people's chickens compost it. And then also attended on Saturday the Heights Next Plant Exchange. And today I was going through the green sheet, and I don't know if you guys watched the video, but Bill, who loves to do videos, added another one to our website. Anyone that's interested in the ash borer disease and wants to know how they can tell if their tree has it, if they haven't talked to Liam, I think it's Liam, our forester, there is a video now online on our website in the Public Works section with the ash borer disease video that he's very clear on how you can look at the identifying markers of a sick tree. So I highly recommend that for people who have ash trees in their property and haven't yet dealt with that or looked at it yet. That's it.
Thank you. This is the life of Zoom meetings too, but I ended up attending the Big Four meeting with the League of Minnesota Cities, the Minnesota School Board Association, Minnesota Association of Townships, and the Minnesota Association of Counties. And they had a very interesting speaker, and it would be maybe good to get something like this here in our city. Bill Doherty with Malice Toward None did a presentation on working together with the Reds and Blues, and it was a very timely topic, and talked about how they have different groups throughout the nation where the different parties get together, try to get an equal amount as possible, discuss, and actually have discussion rather than getting angry with each other. And the whole process is something that actually we're going to be discussing a little bit further in the League of Minnesota Cities. So we're hoping maybe to have something, probably not this year for this presidential election or this election process, but hopefully something in the future where we can actually have citizens get together and discuss topics and not just hold angry signs out in front of everybody. So that was the one interesting thing that was happening. Other than that, are you going to remind people about next week's, we have some, what is it? Street rehab?
The assessments?
Yeah. If you can state the times for those.
Well, I don't have each of the times, though.
Start at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I have that, I just don't have the individual hearings broken out.
Okay.
I have it. Okay, letters. You want?
Well, let's see. Yeah, next week we are actually going to be meeting at the library. So any meetings next Monday will be held at the library because there still is voting over here in City Hall. So we can't have too many things happening at once. So they're going to be starting early, but any street rehab programs, any mill and overlay constructions, any assessments, those meetings will be held between 6 and 7 o'clock, probably approximately 7:15 at the library, and then following that we'll have our work session. Before that will be the EDA meeting. So it will be a long meeting night for council, but if anybody is interested, pay attention, it'll be up on the website.
Yes.
And,
The mayor, members of council, the assessment hearings are scheduled at 15-minute intervals. We'll have a staff person out in the lobby, just managing who's there for what hearing. And you're correct, the announcements would have been sent to the impacted homeowners, so you would know based on that mailing. We also have it on the website. We will make sure it gets posted on our Facebook page as well. So we'll make sure to get the word out.
and any other updates?
I do actually, I just got a call from Police Chief Austin. There's a national 911 outage right now. So we do not have 911 service in the city right now.
Oh boy.
They don't know why at this point. We'll be updated as things go, but we're asking if you do have an emergency, call the Monroe County non-emergency phone number. That phone number is 763-427-1212, and we'll get word out on our social media pages and anywhere else we can find. But that's not just local to Anoka County, that is actually not even local to Minnesota, that is national. And with that, we actually had emergency management training last week. We had our management staff and police and fire spent all of last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at emergency management training. Very detailed training, very real scenario-based training. Wonderful experience for everyone that participated. So appreciate the fact that police and fire were able to put that together for us. The candidate forum is this Wednesday. So that starts at 7. We start with the council member candidates, and then after that we will have the mayoral candidates have their forum. We'll be running it on Facebook Live, on the city's Facebook page, and then it will be played on our cable channels as well, 16 and 19. And as the mayor mentioned, all of our meetings next Monday will be at the library. We can't fit enough people in here to make it socially distanced and work very well. And that is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a city attorney too. Do you have any updates for us?
Madam Mayor, council members, I guess this is the time I get to tell you how much trouble you're in. No, we're doing fine. I'd answer any questions, otherwise I have nothing else to report.
Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much. All right, then last thing on our agenda is adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Buesgens, second by Councilmember Mergen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.